Good morning, and welcome to my weekly Q&A session. My name is Debbie Harbury. I am your relationship coach, and I am here today, as I am every Thursday morning from beautiful Australia, to say, hey, let's talk about life. Let's talk about what's going on. Let's talk about what's troubling you. Let's talk about all of it. But first, let's straighten up our camera a little bit. So today, if you have a question for me, pop it into the comments. Say hello to me wherever you happen to be in the world. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to hit the little button that notifies you when I'm live. But also, please do go ahead and look around my channel. There's lots to see here. I have playlists around affairs, when long-term relationships end, information that is just fun for me, like my poetry. So go ahead and have a look around. Good morning, ladies. Good morning, Kathy. Morning, Barbara. So today, my first question that I'm going to be answering today is an important one that came up in my Heartbreak to Healing workshop just recently, which is how do I, at the very beginning, very beginning, let's say it's been a week or two, and my partner told me, hey, guess what? I'm gone. Out of the blue, from nowhere, I'm gone. I'm leaving you. You did not think that anything was going wrong. You absolutely thought that life was on track, and they just went, yep, see you later. I think what people don't understand and what they need to really grasp is that those very early days, you are in shock, like you would be if you were in a car accident. There's this massive assault to your system where, first of all, there's disbelief. It's like, what the heck is going on here? Then there's a, does he really mean it? Then there's the, what the heck am I going to do? And so in those really early days, there's nothing much that you can actually do. What is best to do in the first few weeks is literally go into survival mode. Make sure that you're having something to eat every day, even if you feel a bit nauseous and like you couldn't eat anything, even if you tried. If you are feeling like, I'm not sleeping, I get into bed exhausted, I'm so weary to my bones, I lay down and then all I do is toss and turn, toss and turn, toss and turn. Like, have a plan for doing some breathing exercises, listening to something very calming. If you need to, get up and read for a little bit and just rest yourself, knowing that this is a phase and you are going to struggle with your sleep. Next is about being really gentle with yourself. Like, you're going to be an emotional, wreck mostly. And you've got to kind of be super kind and super gentle with yourself, allowing yourself, giving yourself permission to go, right now, everything feels like I'm raw. Everything that people say to me, what they do to me, everything that everybody says just hits me really hard. And give yourself as much grace as you need. The first couple of weeks are literally survival weeks. There are times for just doing the absolute basics. Your mind and your body are searching for safety in what feels like a very unsafe place. And so it's really important to get right back to basics. Morning there, ladies. Tell me where you are in the world. Do feel free to ask me a question. My new morning concoction. It's not quite a coffee, girls. It's not quite a coffee. So in here we have lemon balm, mint, ginger and oregano with some apple cider vinegar and warm water. It's to make my little tummy happy. Very soothing for the gut. Not so much delicious like coffee, but soothing for the gut. So welcome from the US. There's a few of you from the US here this morning. If you have a question for me, let me know in the comments. I think when it comes to relationships, I work with women who have issues with long-term relationships, whether they're with men or with women. I have women who talk to me about, when the relationship ends, just losing their identity and not knowing who they are anymore. Women who tell me that, hey, Debbie, now that it's over, I don't trust anybody anymore. I don't trust myself. I don't trust other people. I don't know how to really move to the next step. And in between all of that, they're doing, divorce papers and seeing financial advisors and seeing lawyers and looking at parenting plans. It's just a really tumultuous, really distressing, really upsetting kind of experience. And for many, it feels like you're hanging on by your fingertips, you know what I mean? You're literally holding on for dear life, hoping that you can get through it. It is a phase and it does take quite a while. And The longer you have been in a relationship, the longer it's going to take. That's just the way it is, unfortunately. So if anybody has a question for me, pop it into the comments. I'll stay on for about half an hour when I do these lives. So if you have a question for me, don't be shy. Do ask away. I'm more than happy to answer your questions for you. Yesterday, I was mapping out some things that I'm doing and noticed, when I was looking back, going, okay, so what is the map? What is the journey these women go on, and how long does it take? And it was quite interesting to refresh that for myself. The first 3 months just feel intolerable, and it's all about survival. Especially if it's a longer term relationship, and then there's that bit where there's an acceptance. Finally, the fighting and the crying and the sadness and the hurt really get to a level that's much more manageable, and women get to that space of being, okay, it's over. The denial lifts and they go to the space of, okay, it's over. It's not great, but it's over. Then there's that next phase that comes, which is, now that it's over, I have to start dealing with the practicalities of my life, which usually takes another 6 months. And then the sort of 12 months to 2 year time is when all those court things begin to get settled, or you get seen at court or wherever, and then you have to start rebuilding after that. It's a journey, and I think it's really important to not push yourself or have expectations that the trip you're on is going to be fast. It's important to kind of lean in and understand that it's a trip, and it's really important. Like, the most important things are looking after yourself. Self-care is just right at the top of the list. And it's really important to just do that first. Take care of yourself the best you can first. All right, another question. Thank you very much, Kathy. How do I clear my head of ruminating over my past relationship and build myself up to where I'm no longer fixating on trying to get him back? My emotions are all over the place and I hate the silence. Great question. Your brain can be such a pain in the ass. Truly, it can. Our brains hijack us. The brain is really trying always to get a space that feels safe. So your brain wants to go, okay, what is required for me to feel like I'm going to be okay? And so when it doesn't find that safety, what it does is it churns over and over and over, and rumination begins, right? Just churning through the thoughts. It's, some of you who experience anxiety will know this really well, that those churning thoughts are your way of trying to cope, trying to just think of every different possible thing that could happen, would happen, should happen, and trying to think of every single way that you might address them all. Women will often ask me, oh, what if I see them in the street? And I'm like, but you didn't. But their brain wants to know, just in case, what would I do? What if they get repartnered? Well, again, deal with what's happening in today. So it's really important, when your mind is ruminating, to understand your mind is just trying to find safety. The next thing is that you can interrupt the pattern. So there's a couple of ways of doing that. Number one is processing all those bloody thoughts that are keeping you up. So get a notepad and pen and write everything that's coming out of your mind, every single thing. Journal. Just get it out, all of it. Then once you've done that and you've got it all out of your system, the next thing to do is go, okay, I'm going to take a mental break from this. And what I'm going to do now is I am going to think about any frigging thing on this earthly plane that I can think about that will interrupt the way I think. So it might be, so my hair's bugging me. It might be that you sit down and you count back from 100 to 0 in threes. You might sing a song in your head that interrupts the thought pattern. You might, read something, do a puzzle, things that just make your brain stop. So it just means that you're giving your brain some time to just relax for a little bit, rather than have that churning. It's when a relationship ends, it is so painful. But like I said in the first question, in that really early stage, it's going to be messy. You're like a ping pong ball, boom, 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 boom. And the emotions are fast and furious. And it's about leaning into that and telling yourself, this is part of this process. This is part of those really early stages of denial, of anger, of shock. And I just need to remind myself that this is going to happen for a little bit, and then I'm going to feel better. So yeah, that's the best thing that you can do, my love. All right, next question. When it comes to divorces, I've been dealing with this divorce being dragged out. It seems to just be reopening my wounds every month. Does the healing time start before or after divorces are final? Great question, and not a simple answer, but let me try and explain it. So it is happening while it is happening. like I said before, you have the pain and you have the shock, denial, or whatever in the beginning, but you have the pain and you have the court cases and you have the divorce proceedings and you have the property settlement and you have the parenting orders. So when it comes to big institutions, it can feel like we're being abused institutionally, that the very institutions that are helping us get to the end of it actually are making it worse. When you go to court, if things are held over, it can feel impossible. When you are trying to finish things up and the other party is dragging their feet. It's really important, I think, when you have, say, a day in court, something like that is coming up, and you know that you have something that you have to do, whether it's create an affidavit or talk to a lawyer or go to the court itself, or you're waiting to have a hearing date. When something is coming up, what I suggest you do is at least 48 hours before it starts, every time you think about it, remind yourself, I'm not going to steal today. I'm not going to let this situation steal this moment, because I have plenty of moments that are stolen when I'm actually in court or with the lawyer or drafting up papers. So I'm not going to relinquish this moment. I'm not going to be distressed in this moment, because this moment I'm not in court, I'm not seeing the lawyer, I'm not having to do anything. So we take back the day. We make a decision saying, you know what, no, not this time. This time I'm giving myself permission to not get caught up in it today. So we redirect ourselves, we plan our day, we keep ourselves busy. Then as you get to 48 hours before things are coming up, then you remind yourself, this isn't happening for 48 hours. And so I don't need to worry about it right now, because it isn't happening for another 48 hours. And the 24-hour period before, you remind yourself, today is a day when I do a lot of self-care. Today is the day when I have a warm bath, or I go for a walk, or I read a book, or I meet up with a friend and go for a coffee, or I do something really nurturing for myself. On the day that you have to deal with things, you accept that, yep, you know what, this is going to be painful. I understand it's going to be painful, and you go ahead and you experience it. The second it's finished, you remind yourself, I just lost 3 hours of my day or 5 hours of my day or whatever. I don't want to lose another second of my day being churned through all of this. And so I'm going to give myself permission to not think about it for a bit and just give myself a mental break. So that is how you can do it. It doesn't stop the pain, but what it can do is just give you the energy to keep going when you're in the thick of it and it's really hard. So just really important. It's not that, that the healing starts after. You're actually in a healing process whilst you're doing it. And what's important whilst you're doing it is to remind yourself, hey, this is a part of the process and it's painful, but I will get to the other side of it. I hope that was helpful. Beautiful. All right, next question. I just went through the boundaries section. Although it gave me a lot of insight into my downfall of not setting boundaries, I am tormenting myself that I overstepped his no out of fear. And I think boundaries is a really tricky topic. And the reason boundaries is such a tricky topic is because many of us were not taught to have boundaries. And many of us were actually told we shouldn't have them. Just have a little bit of my juice. Oh. So let me explain that to you. Number one, when we're little, we may have not been encouraged to have boundaries. Our parents may have said to us, no, you're not feeling that, or no, that's really silly, or maybe they made us do things that we would have preferred not to do, and we did them because we were told we had to do them. Parents do the best job they can do, by the way, and yes, sometimes, they cause a little bit of harm. So that's where we learn it. When we get into a relationship, we are taking those patterns with us. So it comes to the point where we and a lot of people believe this, and I'm not sure why, to be honest with you, but a lot of people believe that if I set a boundary, the other person will actually abide by it. Well, that's not the truth. The bottom line is oftentimes we will set boundaries and people will test that boundary and go, okay, I'm going to ignore you because that's stupid. I'm not going to do that. I don't agree with you. You're wrong. So I'm just going to ignore your boundary. And they go do their merry old dance on top of your boundary. We then do not do what the boundary requires, which is going, when somebody crosses my boundary, what am I going to do? What's the consequence of people crossing it? And this is the part we don't do in our culture. And it's important to go, okay, well, if my boundary is no for whatever reason, then if that person goes ahead and does that, what will I do? What is the consequence? And we have to be very mindful that if we set the boundary and we say no, that we will follow through. You know, you're saying that you feel like you're sad. You know what I mean? That you didn't stick to that boundary. But the bottom line is, oftentimes people don't. When we know better, we do better, right? So once we learn that, hey, it's really important when I set a boundary that I stick to the boundary. So there are internal and external boundaries. The boundaries to myself, the boundaries where I tell myself, hey, that's not what I'm about. Those are not my values. That's not how I do life. And I stick to that, right? And the boundaries with others where I say, if you're going to have an affair, I will leave. And being sure that if they do have an affair, that you would leave. And where would you go, and how would you plan it? Or would you get them to leave? Knowing what the backup is when that thing comes up is really important, and then sticking to it. So it's just really, really important to make sure that you understand that when you set a boundary, that you have your backup that comes with that boundary when you have it in place. But don't give yourself a hard time. Like, don't give yourself a really, really hard time if something in the past you have set a boundary and you haven't been able to stick to it. You can't change the past. So facing front, dealing with what's going on in front of you is really important. All right, dating, how to give them a chance while not setting or looking for perfection. I'm not seeing anyone I like, but could be making excuses or not giving them a chance. I think a couple of things. You have to be ready to date. Sometimes you're ready, sometimes you're not. It's okay to test the waters and see. The next thing is when you're dating and you feel like you are going through the paces and you're not really enjoying it and you're just testing people out, you're probably not ready yet. But it's also not a great idea. I mean, it's uncomfortable for the other person. If you are ready, but you find that I'm not seeing anyone I like, defining what like is, you know what I mean? When we go dating again, we want to be sure that this person is somebody that we could, and first of all, do I want to have friends with benefits? Do I want to have a long-term relationship? Am I looking for just a friendship? Am I just interested in some companionship? What am I looking for first? Once you know what you're looking for, that's helpful. The next thing you need to do when you worked out what you're looking for is to give people a chance to get to know them. Oftentimes these days we kind of flick, pick a couple of faces we like the look of, and then we go and see them. It's important to look at, what do I want from somebody? Do I want stability? Do I want somebody who is funny? Do I want somebody who's smart? Do I want somebody who's consistent? Do I want somebody who is gentle? Do I want somebody who is an extrovert? Like, what am I looking for in a partner? And then you're going on a date, maybe at least 6 times, right? 6 dates, no longer than 90 minutes each date, to see who this person is, to just go, who is this person? Like, who are they? What do they like? What don't they like? How do they behave in a restaurant? How do they behave when you're having coffee? How do they talk about the women in their lives? How do they talk about the people they care about? And you're assessing whether this person is going to be somebody you like. You can't do that in 1 date or 2 dates or even 6 dates. But I would give at least 6 dates to that person to give them an opportunity to show you who they are, a little bit of who they are. So I hope that was helpful. Now, don't forget, ladies, subscribe to my channel. I am working my way towards 4,000 watch hours. I'm over 3,000 now, which feels like a lot of watch hours, but it's a thing on YouTube I'm learning. So if you want to support me, please do go through and watch my playlists. I usually link them somewhere on the page. There's pictures and little black things that tell you the next thing you look at. On my channel, I have information about affairs. So there's a series about affairs that you can go and watch. I have my free heartbreak to healing workshop, which is about how to move from the pain and suffering of early breakup relationship all the way through to how to start planning out your life once it's ended. I've also got my poetry, and my poetry is really a reflection of my personal experiences, but also when you tell me about your life and the things that are really challenging. So you can go and have a look at that on my channel. I do a live every single Thursday, live Q&A where I answer your questions. So please subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and please do go and have an explore and share it with people you know, because I am doing my best in 2025 to really work here, and this is a new space for me, and it was intimidating for a bit, but now I feel a bit more comfortable. So please do support my channel. I would really appreciate it enormously. If you don't know who I am, my name is Debbie Carberry. I'm 59 and a quarter. I live in the Northern Rivers of Australia. I am a mum to 4 adult kids, and I am partnered to a guy I've been with for 23 years this year. I've had my fair share of ups and downs in relationships. I'm a trained therapist, and I'm a relationship coach online, and I guide women who are coming out of long-term relationships through some of the biggest, most painful experiences of their life and help them find their footing, and then walk them on a journey of self-love back to sort of a space of empowerment over time. So if you have any issues to do with any relationships, whether that's the relationship with yourself, the relationship with your ex, the relationship with the current partner, you're dating again, relationship with your kids, your bosses, relationships in any way, shape or form, I am here to answer your questions every Thursday morning at 7:30 a.m. in the Northern Rivers, New South Wales. All right, moving along the bus. Next question. How do I stay open to love and connection even when it risks reopening our wounds? I think human beings are predisposed to wanting to connect and love. And so for many of us, in the throes of the pain at the beginning and even in the middle of our relationships ending, our system is shut down to love. We're like, I couldn't do it again. I can't risk it. It's too painful. I can't imagine being with anybody else. Really normal feelings, to be honest with you, in those early stages. Like, it would be a bit odd if you had a 20-year relationship and within 3 weeks you're like, okay, well, I'll just go date someone. That would be a bit unusual. So it's okay in those early stages to believe that you don't want to do this ever again and that you're not up for it and it's too painful. But my experience has shown me that, generally speaking, by the 12-month time, most people are ready to at least contemplate going out there again and going, maybe I would like to date again. Maybe I would enjoy being with somebody else. And by that stage, a lot of your wounds are starting to heal over and you feel like you are able to cope with it. And it becomes a bit exciting as you begin that journey, but not when you're thinking about it at the beginning. At the beginning, you're just thinking you've got to be having a land. There's nowhere. I've so many women tell Kathy and I, you know what, not a chance at all of me going back out there. And we both chuckle to ourselves because we know that those very same women will be telling us in 12 months' time, hey, guess what? I'm out dating and I've met somebody really lovely. So, excuse me, it's this lovely drink, gorgeous drink. Look after your gut, girls. So for those who didn't catch it earlier, this is ginger root. It is oregano, mint, and lemon balm with a dash of apple cider vinegar. Yum, warm. Ooh. And for the lady who's asking the housekeeping question, so this is my open YouTube channel, my love. You can ask that question in the membership group. So I have a membership program if people are interested in that. But in the membership group, if you go to the help post, we will come and answer your question for you, my darling, and redirect you. So for those who don't know, I have a membership program for ladies. I have the bridge, which is where I help people in those really early stages and they're struggling and having a hard time. And then we move them across to my main membership, where we give ongoing support to women and guidance to women who are navigating the end of a long-term relationship. So yeah, we can answer it in there for you, my love. Okay, this is probably my last question for today, unless I see any others jump through. I will quickly do this question, but if there are any questions, please don't worry. If you haven't asked me today, you can always come back and ask me another time when I'm coming on. And if you're very quick and type it out now, I'll try and answer it before I go. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and go and watch some of my playlists. That would help me out enormously. Thank you very much. All right, last question, which is, I missed this one. How do I give myself the love and care I was so deeply deprived of when I've been surviving on my own for so long? How do I give myself? I think we have to treat ourselves like we would somebody we loved. We have to treat ourselves like we would a child we loved, or a parent we loved, or a friend we loved. Like, what would we do for her? How would we take care of her? We would probably, make some nice food for her, something really comforting and lovely for her to eat. We might ask if she wants to go for a walk you know, somewhere special, the beach, the rainforest, whatever floats her boat, we would maybe say, you know, why don't we just go somewhere and have a coffee? It's those things. That's how we really give ourselves love and care. We care about ourselves the way we would care about somebody else, you know. And the basic things, like we get plenty of sleep, we try and eat healthy food, we make sure that we take care of our bodies, we take care of our minds, you know, we do kind, gentle things for our minds. There is such an array of things available, apps available that have meditations on them, or affirmations on them, or gentle guided music on them. So there's a lots and lots and lots of ways to settle the mind down. You know, you could get really creative. You know, doing creative things can be so good for you. You know, drawing, painting, writing. I love writing my poetry because it's a real outlet for me. I really enjoy it, and it helps me cement, you know, when I'm trying to go through something that's a bit challenging and I'm trying to make sense of it. You know, writing it down can be one of the best things that I could possibly do. So find an outlet for that. You know, I have a member who colors, and she uses mindful coloring books, which I love doing also. So it's finding your groove and making sure that you put together a care package for yourself. You know what I mean? Something that helps you take care of yourself and look after yourself. All right, so if there are any more questions, quickly pop them in. I'm going to head off in a second. I come here every single Thursday at 7:30 a.m. my time. I'm here to answer your questions. If you come and you watch this on the replay, you can pop comments down below. I'd love to hear if you do have questions or comments. If you're interested in something that I've said and you want a bit more information, let me know down in the comments there. Give me a thumbs up or a little love heart. I always appreciate those. That always helps the algorithm, I'm told. So yeah, please do share my channel with people you think who might find it helpful. And of course, come and see me on Thursday mornings at 7:30 a.m. when I come specially just to see you. All right, my darlings, take the very best care of yourself. It was lovely seeing you again this week. I'll be back next Thursday, same time. Of course, during the week, I will be posting some short videos for you and some longer videos for you on different topics. And I'm working on my channel at the moment and rearranging it and making some changes to it. I've spent the last 2 days working on what I'm going to do with it and how am I going to lay it out and all the different things that I want to put up here. So those things will be coming. I'll be opening my shop down the line. So I'm looking forward to opening my store where you can buy things from me if you want to buy them from me. So yeah, I am excited about this journey on YouTube. Take the very best care of yourselves, everybody, and I will see you really, 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 really soon. There you go. See you next time. Bye.